So I had this arrive the other day, like this, inside of an undamaged box. So somebody saw this in this condition, put it in a box, and thought, yeah, that'll be fine. Either that or the trip over from Dimension X is rougher than I'd imagined. First thing you might notice is, you know, those couple of tentacles loosely, grossly hanging out in there like they're about to attack Michael Roker in a bath. But it is a pretty clever way of having him actually look like he's piloting this thing. So let's, you know, go ahead and get him in there. To do so, you just gotta open him up and then pop off Krang's tentacles, which somehow makes him look even grosser. But it's cool. I like that the plastic that they've used is a high gloss plastic, so it almost makes him look wet and spongy. Then you've got this recess here with that raised bit inside of the android body tum-tum, and so he actually pegs in quite securely. I understand no perspex pace there, but I think I would have liked a perspex pace there. And then deco-wise, I gotta say, this is really doing it for me. The combination of gloss plastics, matte plastics, and metallic paint gives him a pretty sort of premium looking deco. One thing I don't like is just how human that earless face is. It's too human. He's looking a little bit like he's taken a trip to Mars for 3 weeks.
Get ready for a surprise!
The articulation on these figures is always pretty primo, so his head's on a bit of a ball joint, but because of his, you know, Dune-esque neck, he can't really get around too much, but he can throw the shapes you need him to. Then he's got a universal at his shoulder with a little bit of an extra piece so he can get a bit of butterfly going. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. Because the plastic is kind of soft, they stress you out a little bit. And they do that thing that I'm not a huge fan of with the best action figures, where it leaves all that space, but, you know, it's still pretty cool. The best action figures, they deliver a lot of bang for your buck. And there's a universal at the wrist which can obviously swivel and stuff as well. They do forever feel like you're gonna snap something off. He's got a waist swivel under the belly pit. It looks to be just ball jointed hips inside there. The thigh swivel, which, you know, really breaks the lines. Again, double jointed knees, but they don't actually have a huge range to them because of the way they've been cut. But it's not like the android body was known for his dexterity anyway, really, was he? And then you get a bit of backward and forwards out of those mid-tops and twisty.
Excuse me, bad guys. I am running out of air. Gotta get pumped.
And I gotta admit, despite being such a bulky boy, and so top heavy, he actually poses out and stands pretty well all by his lonesome. I definitely didn't expect it. Even though the lower half of his body has a lot of points of articulation, because of the sculpt and just, you know, the nature of the android body, you can't throw a huge range of shapes from him. But I think you can kind of, you know, you can pretty well get everything you want out of him. One thing about the way he's been styled that I think works for and against him is he's like straddling this awkward zone between like looking like the old school cartoon and then a bit like the comics and then, you know, a weirdly realistic and true to life interpretation of the Krang android design. So like, it means personally I find it really difficult to look at that face for too long. It's like if you cast Arnold as Dr. Eggman or something. But then it also means when you pose him out and chuck him into your totally turtle dioramas, he'll look just as at home with other best action like IDW figures. He looks pretty awesome alongside the Super 7 turtles, and he'll even work alongside like old school Movieverse or, you know, Storage Shell turtles. He's big enough that he still manages to look right at home with some of your biggest, baddest Super 7 dudes as well.
One of the big boys.
And how could I not show him off alongside the original android? I gotta admit, I do wish that this new one's head had been styled a little more closely on the OJ. And in true best action style, he has no shortage of accessories. All you gotta do is pop off those mitts, which is always super nerve-wracking because I always feel like these little bits are gonna end up getting stripped off. But then, you know, he's got a matching set of punching mitts. He can chop and drill on his way to making some turtle soup.
Stop! He's already dead.
He's even got matching laser pistol fists, which, you know, Despite looking undersized in my opinion, still come in handy if your turtles are too far away. Pew pew pew! Who runs Barter Town?
Master Blaster runs Barter Town. Louder! Master Blaster runs Barter Town.
And he's got this crazy katana attachment, just in case he feels like taking it to the turtles on their own terms. So whilst this might not be, you know, the all-time best Krang out there, in my opinion, he's pretty damn good. From being able to work so well with so many different iterations of the turtles, to being so big and having so many, you know, playability factors for how well priced and easily accessible he is, I think it makes him a hard one to beat. If you're on the fence about picking this guy up, I would get him. He's pretty cool. Just remember not to look at his face for too long, because it's weird, man.